Got it.
Okay, got it.
Leaving meeting.
So what episode are we on? 4 or 5, Sam?
Cool.
This is episode 4.
This is a special episode because not only was it a FA Cup, we also have our very own Australian, much like Tottenham, as we all know, have their Australian Ange Postecoglou. We have our own from across the world, my grandson, Sam and Matt's nephew, Jack Salkeld, who lives in
Josh
Gold
Salkeld?
Coast.
Is
we
it
want to say
is it
Salkeld?
Josh? Is it Josh?
Oh, it's
Salkeld?
Jack Salkeld. Did I say
Thank you.
Josh?
You
Jack Salkeld. He lives in Brisbane, Australia, which is
Oi, 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 oi.
which is
Gold
just
Coast.
well, Gold Coast.
Oi,
just
Coy, Coys,
south
Coys, Coys,
of
Coys,
Brisbane.
Coys, Coys, Coys,
Just south of Brisbane. And as we all know, our favorite coach, our favorite manager, Ange, coached the Brisbane Roar. Did they not?
Yeah.
How the circle gets
There
the
is
square.
there is just this huge circle. So, Jack, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? And how did you come to supporting Spurs?
Well, I came to supporting Spurs because you guys started supporting Spurs, and then I watched the game, and there was it's like once you watch a game, you're like, that's definitely my team.
Who's your
Oh,
favorite
what a great
player,
answer.
Jack?
Koys, Koys. What a great answer that is.
Coys, Coys, Coys. Who's your favorite player?
James Madison.
James
Love
Madison.
that. Can you do the dart
North
for
London-
us?
North
Can
London
you do
is
the
white.
dart for us? There it is.
So, given those introductions, what do we do? Are we going to go to the game right away, or are we going to go to maybe who is in the squad? I think there are a lot of very significant things that have happened sort of over the last couple of days that let's go to the starting lineup. What do you think about not the starting lineup necessarily, but the squad sheet itself? So there are a lot of folks, a lot of players that we've not seen in a while. Mickey Van de Ven, Sessignon.
We'll get to Sessignon because I've got some thoughts about him.
Yeah, I have some thoughts about him too.
I say let's hit the starting 11. I think that's
Okay.
I think that was probably the strongest team they could have fielded with what
they could have
with
put
what
out.
came
I
in,
agree.
which I think is what Ange had to do at this point.
I think it speaks
Even
to
with the strongest 11 that you could have put out there. We'll probably talk about this later on in the podcast. Is it the cup games? They give me the heebie-jeebies. You just watch them, and I wanted them to score so early.
Well,
it took so long.
The thing about the cup games is they're so important to so many people, and they want Spurs to do well. But historically, I think there's been and I only listened to this. I don't know if it was on the broadcast of the actual game or during another podcast, but like they've made it past this third round in the 17 of the 18 last years. Yeah. So clearly we definitely should have made it past this round, but there's also an element of the importance of the FA Cup to Spurs and to the community, because I think the Spurs have won the most FA Cups in league history, something like that. I think they've won like 8, but they've not done it since 1990, whatever, 99 or something like that.
None of it counts.
So I'm really happy to see that they put out a really strong lineup. I guess I was so happy to not see Forster.
Oh God, thank God for that.
That was like level 1. You're starting number 1, my man Vicario. Then you've got these studs in the back, the Poro and the Udagi, and then what the heck? Who else are you going to put there until folks come back from injury? Are
Davies and
Royal. So
and I think Davies again had another stellar game. I think he
agreed.
Those guys.
just defensively, he was sort of that at times a brick wall. I think he played really well.
What do you think, Jack?
Yeah, Ben Davies has played well for the last like 5, 6 games when Van de Ven and all those other people have been out for injuries.
I agree completely.
totally agree.
So, I guess that's the other thing that we have to make sure that people know. Jack got up at 6 o'clock in the morning to watch this game because he is literally in Australia. So being
dedication, Holmes.
Yeah, that is dedication. So what did you think? What do you think of Udogie, Jack?
Udogie is personally probably one of the left backs in the league, best left backs in the league right now. But that's what I think. I don't think any other left back in the league has played as well as Udogie has.
I think
Completely
that
agree.
he's. I think yeah,
If
and I
not
think
the
other
best.
people are saying the same thing. I don't know if you guys have seen some of these people have come out with the Premier League's best so far, and I feel like Udogie's in all of their sort of lists. He's
And I
killing
think
it.
that just also goes to show how quickly we pounced on giving him that contract. I mean, Tottenham saw it. We looked at it. We saw the opportunity to give him for as long as we possibly can, and we made it happen. And I think that's a testament to what Jack just said, is that he's one of the best left backs in the league right now.
100%. Who do we give the credit to with Udogie? Who gets that?
I mean, it's got to be Don Paratici.
Don Paratici. Yeah, the man. Well, right now it's the man behind the scenes, right?
Because and so Jack, we're talking about the recruiters who brings those players into the team.
Yeah.
And I think Paratici is the person that had, and despite the fact that it was a different system then, I mean, he definitely seems to be able to recruit these guys. I mean, Sarr's another one, and then you talk about that whole sort of Juventus connection with
Gulu and
Bentancur, and then even I think and I don't know anything about the guy, but Dragunson, who were supposed to be, apparently he's connected with that whole sort of thing too. So, I mean, there's definitely an element of, he's, and it's not Italian soccer too, which I think which I find kind of interesting because I don't like Italian soccer. I don't really like
anybody from the team or something, or like the managers that have come out of Italy.
Yeah. So I mean, I think they tend to play very,
sure.
But it sure has worked out for us. So anyway, let's go on to the midfield. So we had Skip.
Yeah, Skip.
Was he there?
Yes, he was there, but I don't think he was doing anything.
I didn't really see it either, but I've seen some things that he did a good job tonight. I just don't know what it was. I mean, if he's replacing Sarr, I think we were missing him more than anybody, quite frankly.
Just to not to move on from Skip, what Jack just said is sort of how I feel about him, and kind of what you said too. You didn't have any problems with him, but you didn't have any. I think it was fine. He did okay in the position that he's in, but I feel like that's Skip as a player. He's just sort of a warm body, and if he doesn't make a mistake, that's kind of a good night for him.
Yeah,
it'd be a good night for everybody in the Premier League, though. Let's be real. I mean, I think he's. I think that there were times when he disappeared, but I think he did his role in this system, which is sort of.
Did he though? I don't think he did. He. I don't agree with him.
And again, I'm being sort of. Maybe this is me just being specific to Skip, but I feel like he's kind of a guy that he's in a position right now where it's like it's either him or Hojbjerg, and it's like, hey, just don't screw it up. Like, go out there.
Don't get me started on Hojbjerg. Don't get started.
They're interchangeable.
You keep throwing Hojbjerg under the bus, but Hojbjerg came out.
I'm telling you, there were
stellar moments.
There were at least two incidences. There were at least two incidents today where I'm convinced that he gave the ball back to
you're hung up on that
intentionally.
So you're looking for it.
This is the anti-conspirity theorist talking here too. Like yes, He has some.
sucks.
No, this is that's a very subjective comment.
All right, what do
I
you
don't
think, Jack? Jack, what do you think?
I think the exact same as you because
Thank you.
he like he takes a shot at his own teammate just along the ground, and like they're just trying to get used to stopping the ball whenever he passes it to him.
Exactly. There's
I
no
think we've
way.
got I think we've got our first 50-50 split, our first
Ex-
disagreement on Spurs of the moment. I'm with Matt on this one.
And listen, I'm not pro Højbjerg. I just think that he's doing exactly what he needs. Like he had some moments today that were key to us sort of keeping that game alive. There were some blocks in the back.
How about the end of the day? How about the end of the game where he flops down on the ground, acting like he's fouled, and they go down and they almost score a goal?
He wasn't the only one to do that today.
He flopped down. No, in the last minute of the game, last 30 seconds, he flops down. Oh, I've been fouled. And then they go down and they almost score on the corner.
Yeah.
The corner.
Well, that's another thing too. I feel like, but again, opening that can of worms with the fouls, I feel like that was sort of a thing today. I feel like Tottenham are not getting
calls.
The calls that they need. And it spreads to the announcers. It spreads to it's this toxic. We hate the Spurs. Like
I know,
but we love watching them. They're one of the greatest teams to watch this year. But everything they do is wrong. Like I can't. Listening to the announcers talk about Tottenham is very sort of.
I mean, we were texting.
I sort of feel like today was a sort of an exception. I feel like, when you're watching the Premier League, the regular season, it's sort of pro Tottenham, at least I feel. But this ESPN Plus broadcast was brutal from the moment the game started.
Yeah, I feel like that's all announcers. They'll come out and they'll say a couple of things positive as the game goes on. It's back to the Spursy. It's back to they're going to screw things up. And
why are we reviewing this? Not a foul. And it's like so exaggerated. It's like, okay, I mean, we review every player goes down. It's for either team. Why is it so like, oh, I can't even, it's like, come on.
What do you think, Jack?
Well, it's kind of the same with commentators too. It's like they go negative, they go like positive, like 10 minutes each half, and then they just go brutal and negative, and they're like, oh, Tottenham missed all their chances and this other team.
Totally agree.
Yeah, I mean, so I speaking of missing chances, I feel like there was an element of, the announcers were saying that Burnley didn't necessarily deserve to lose, but did they really deserve to win? I mean,
I think Burnley deserved to lose way worse than they actually did. I didn't feel like they're not that good.
They played crap.
I agree.
They kept us, kind of at bay.
Yeah, well, it was, I couldn't, the number of times I said park the bus today in my head was out of this world. I mean, I'd love to rewatch this game because this was one of those games where in the moment I found myself extremely frustrated. But then when all was said and done, we really dominated. Like
we did.
Between possession and it just came down again. And I feel like this has been a conversation between us for the majority of the season is just the inability to finish. It's the number of touches you see happening inside the box and trying to find, like, somebody needs to get selfish and just start ripping shots. And that's when Porro finally, let's look outside the box. Let's just take one. And it was phenomenal.
How about that play though? I mean, not only did he nick the ball, then he drives. Yeah. I mean, he
did it all himself.
Yeah, that was 100% Porro goal.
But I do feel like they're obviously being coached to not, to kind of walk the ball in the net. That's the way it feels to me. They're kind of being coached to walk the ball into the goal.
Is it?
But I do feel like there are times where they can take that. It's not even taking a risk, taking a chance. It's just taking a shot. I would like them to be able to just, you've got the ball in, but then then part of it is they get by doing all those like mini touches and things, they pack the box so much that you don't really have the ability to get a shot off.
I feel like there were several times today where exactly what you said happened, where it was all condensed into the top of that box. And there's no opportunity. You can play one touch all you can, but you'll never be able to square the goal up and take a shot. You're just going to turn the ball over, and then you're going the other way. I completely agree. But it's like what Matt's saying, have a shot. Just put it on frame.
From distance.
Well,
I mean,
but even from that top of the box, like, let it rip. I mean, Kulu had a couple opportunities where he's got it on his favored left side, top of the box, and just doesn't he did let it fly a little bit towards the end of the game. But with that, you get the opportunity for, goalie flubs it to the ground, and then you get a tap in. I mean, there's other ways
and
that
that's
you
what
can
needs to
score
happen.
from.
And this is,
I thought he was pretty poor today, Kulu.
Who?
Kulu.
Well, that's the same with Richarlison and Johnson too. Like they take a shot, they just miss. Take another shot, they miss.
You're totally right. And again, like I said, we need to be taking shots, but I don't know whether it's their first touch or what have you. But there were a couple of times when there were crosses into the box, and just like either the cross wasn't where it needed to be or their first touch wasn't where it needed to be. That's what I'm saying. Is like we need to be more clinical. You own the possession, you owned going forward, but between letting too many guys come into the box because you're sort of doing this tippy tap stuff in the box or crossing it. I mean, we've been a very pro Brennan Johnson podcast these last
I love
few
him.
games.
You're not going to convince me that.
And I'm not trying to change that. Again, I think he's a super promising kid. He needs to put one in the back of the net. He needs to get some confidence behind him because it was getting hard to watch. He had so many opportunities. It was I hate to say this to some of you guys out there, very Brian Hill like. Didn't
completely
just
disagree.
not being able to put the ball where he needed to put it.
Completely disagree.
So
Jack,
by the way, Brian Hill looked pretty good today.
He did look. Actually, it's his best game of the year, in my opinion. Best game I've ever seen him play. But Jack, so when you're like you're kind of a midfielder, slash defender slash, but like if you
he's Australian, so he's an inverted right back. Correct?
What?
No. If you see what would you like to see the progression of the attacking third? I mean, what would you like to see happen?
Just take shots that are on target, shoot. Make sure the balls go in. Make sure it doesn't go like 5 miles west or 5 miles north or over the top.
So a lot of that is about technique.
Yeah.
Is what I'm hearing.
Which is what we lacked today, was that.
I think that there is an element of that we were lacking.
And that's what Kane brought, was technique. And that's what I think Richarlison is missing. I like Richarlison, but I do get quickly frustrated with him because he's
very fast.
He's like, he receives the ball and he closes his eyes and then rips the shot. I mean, it's like, fine, you're taking the shot, but it's like that was never going to go in. Like,
what
you're
do you
not
mean
even
closing his eyes? That's interesting.
He gets the
time. Can you actually see him physically closing?
No, not physically closing his eyes, but he takes one touch, the ball's in front of him, and he's got to do this wrap around, and he just puts it on, like he just shoots.
Yeah.
And he's not really clinical about it, like what Jack is saying. Put it on frame. He's just sort of like spraying and praying that hopes it, kind of gets.
Yeah.
He just shoots like out to the corner flag and is like, please go in, please go in, please go in.
Yeah, and it's not even like he's got the angle of the goalie beat. It's like he's trying to wrap it around the goalie who's already in position because that's just where the ball came off of his foot. It's not like Kane saw him deliver the ball, square up, and he was ready to pick a target and shoot.
And he would wrap it on frame. He wouldn't like try to drag it across the goal or
exactly.
Whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't want to make this the Harry Kane train, but he'd also, even if it was straight at the goal, he'd rocket it 100 miles per hour to at least put something something
Speaking
on
of
it.
Rocket,
And Richie,
I
Richie
keep
just
going.
hang on. This now that we're on this Richie thing, again, today was another sort of example of like why he needs to be put the ball in the back of the net. Because not even his shots were not great today. But not only his shots, but his crosses, his balls in. I just felt that he was missing. And again, is it a confidence thing?
So
The other thing too that I was thinking, is it just like without Son there, Son's able to build these sort of relationships with these players to where they feel comfortable working the ball around in certain areas. There's just not that sort of connection between him and Johnson. There's not that connect. And I don't
so
want to
I
be
will
minus
say,
pro, but like even Lo Celso, like these people don't have that chemistry yet in order to make things work.
I
And
will
I'm not
say
saying positive. I think it will happen.
to that, I think we're definitely missing Sonny, but I think that Richarlison and Johnson were definitely getting something of chemistry on that right side. And I think not, and having Johnson go over to the left is a little bit weird, but I think Johnson and Richie are building something. And I think without Son and having Johnson having to play on the left, I think affected them, but there was a lot of action going down on that left side. It just needed a little bit of a kind of a little bit of a I don't really know how to describe it, but a little bit of a like a special moment because there was a lot going down, a lot happening with Johnson and with the Dogie going down that left side on the first half. I really felt like they could have made something happen.
And with the Sun being out, I felt like this was the perfect opportunity. And speaking of opportunities, he had them for Johnson to prove what he could do, how he could step up to the plate. And he had so many opportunities.
He was trying so hard.
Too hard.
I mean, he should have got those shots in, but I don't know what happened. Those shots were on target. They are definitely going in, and then the goalkeeper just puts his hand out and saves it.
The keeper had a good game. You're right, Jack. He did have a good game. There were definitely shots on goal that maybe
I feel like the keeper was great, but the Burnley just set up very well on defense today. They were able to sort of sit back and like take on the pressure that we were giving them. And again, I don't know if it's the ticky-tacky stuff in the box with the pit, but they were able to just sort of maintain us for the majority of that game. And I'm super glad. Again, Porro took that shot from outside.
So, Jack, can you give us a perspective of what it's like to be a Spurs fan in Australia? Do you have any? Are there lots of folks that are supporting us, or?
No.
I'll ask the question
No.
another way. Do you get? I saw you got a lot of gear for Christmas this year. I saw some beach towels, some new swag that you rep around town. Does anybody say anything to you? Do they give you a COYS as you're walking down the street? Anything?
No. I'm pretty sure that it's all about NRL in this country. Like AFL, NRL,
They're
cricket.
a little bit more rough. Well,
Yeah.
not cricket. Cricket's
And
not
I'm
rough.
more soccer.
Yeah. You're more of a finesse man than I'm gonna hurt you man.
But you do play OzTag. Can you explain that to us a little bit?
It's like technically rugby but with tags. And like you have to pull the tags off of them for it to be like kind of a tackle. But it's not like a tackle, you're just pulling off the tag.
So it's like flag football.
Like flag football, but rugby.
Yeah, and it's like you stick them to your pants and you have to like try pull it off. And then you have to roll the ball and all that weird stuff.
All right, so Jack, so we know, or I know, we as a family know that Harry Kane is your man.
He was my
James Madison is hurt.
He's coming back soon.
Fingers crossed.
We need him desperately.
We need some of that creativity in the midfield, 100%, especially with all of our guys being out right now. You're starting 11 today. Who's your favorite player out there?
Hmm. Probably. I personally liked Benton Kerr out there. But I feel like Johnson deserved to be captain more than he did because Benton Kerr has been out and Johnson has just been putting all this effort and he's been setting up plays and it's like they don't give him any credit for what he does.
Johnson.
I think that's
Yeah.
and that leads me to another question. So to the rest of the panel, the Ange Postecoglou came out the other day and said, "Doesn't matter who our captain is, it's Sonny. So whoever I give it to, don't put any thought into it. Sonny is our captain." Who is your captain? So Jack says Johnson. Boys,
I've got mine.
yeah,
I'm giving it today. In the game today, if I'm Ange, I'm giving it to Royal. And as somebody who I'm not a Royal lover
is this
by
a
any means.
post match? Is this a post match
Yeah,
thing?
pre-match. What about pre-match,
Pre-game?
Sam?
Pre-match.
No, but this is
who are you giving it
pregame.
to?
This is pregame.
Oh.
And
Wow.
my reason
Wow.
being
Good
is
call.
you need to keep him inspired and involved in the club because
And was he
Van de
ever?
Ven,
I mean, was he ever inspired?
No, I don't think
was
so.
that a facetious
No,
comment?
I'm being completely.
Oh.
He was. What was he ever inspired?
He played great today, but if we're talking pre-match, he's had to wear a heavy burden the last couple weeks with Van de Ven being out, and Van de Ven's going to be coming back soon, and it's going to factor into Royals playing time.
Yeah, but it's not.
Both
It's not
of
like
them.
Van de Ven's gonna not come off the bench. He can come off the bench.
Once Van de
And he
Ven's
will.
healthy, he's
So
starting.
my thing is that you've got my captains before the game would have been Vicario potentially, Davies, and or Bentancur, because I think Bentancur, what I like about him is you see him out there and he's like an orchestrator or like a I don't know what you call him, the sort of person that does a band leader. He is telling people with his arms. I mean, you can see he's very expressive and he's saying, go this way, go that way, go that way. And what really impressed me last week when Sar came off, he was the first person to like go to Sar and just console him and just say, you're good, you're good, you're good. To me, I think he's the leader.
Well, yeah, I mean, he knows what that he knows
Yeah,
what that
and he
is.
knows what it
He's
feels like.
experienced that twice.
But he
in the
also
last...
is he's a little bit older and he's a little bit like, he's seen it all. And I feel like that is to me, I have absolutely no problem with that selection. And I think it was totally appropriate, though Vicario, I think, could be the other one.
Vicario did deserve to be one, though, too.
I say, if you're asking me, and I'm the one that asked this question, number one, Ben Davies. With the way that he's been playing lately, with his allegiance to Tottenham, I just think
That's true. 100%
I just
true.
think he is the veteran of the team. He's the leader of he's a leader of this team.
But I agree. After watching the game, now that's my pregame thought. But after watching it, Ben Davies was everywhere. I mean, he did not want to lose that game.
He's here, then 5 seconds later, he's over here.
Yeah.
Who was number two, Matt? You had somebody else in mind.
I think Vicario is number two. I think you just need to get this guy ingrained, and he's bleeding Tottenham. And there's a couple of guys, right? Like Poro bleeding Tottenham right now. His blood is white. He's just he doesn't quite level up to that captain material just yet. So mine are Ben Davies and or Vicario. Just thinking about other people on the pitch, and they could go to a bunch of people, but those would be my top two when it comes to number one, a cup game, and number two, just your Tottenham. I think Bentancur is great. I don't know if
Bentancur
he
is so
bleeds. I
freaking
don't know.
silky. I mean, do you
Yeah,
have
Silky
how many
is. Yeah, Silky
how
is
many
good up. But
times was he like
Kulu is
tackled in the middle of
also.
the park and then he came out of the ball? I thought he was going to get like hacked down, and he came out of the ball, out with the ball. He is
I
a
guess
sublime player.
based on play alone and just thinking about what has transpired the last couple months, he wouldn't have been on my list just because he's not out on the pitch with them. He's not at the practice
Yeah,
with
but
them.
when
He's sort of behind the scenes.
when he
But like I
does
said,
come,
I don't know what happens, but I don't know if he's there sort of like giving guys
Yeah.
high fives on the sideline as they come off of practice or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think, just the allegiance to the club, Ben Davies would be my number one, and Vicario being your sort of
kind of
stud
easy pick.
keeper.
But...
Easy
So
pick.
Jack, your team, you play soccer.
Yeah, I do.
Do you have
Is that what
many?
they call it in Australia?
Do you have many English players on your team?
Footy. Oh no, that's
Or
I have an English coach who
Mm.
goes to Chelsea, sadly.
Oh no,
Sadly.
no, we can't have that.
Ugh.
We don't like
Mm.
Chelsea.
No,
We
no one
don't-
likes Chelsea.
But we would like to
Besides
see.
him, though. Besides him. Besides him.
We would like to see. Who's the guy we'd like to see come to us?
Conor Gallagher.
Gallagher. We'd like to see Gallagher.
No, I don't think. No.
It won't happen, but it would be nice.
No, I don't like that. No, I don't like that.
Hmm.
He's just a
How
bad
much time
player.
are we looking at?
He's not that.
we
This
got
clock.
5 minutes 17 seconds.
I don't
So
think
in
it's worth the money.
In the last 5 minutes,
It's not a ton of money though. It's like, what is it, 35, 40 mil?
no,
Yeah,
it's gonna
well,
be way
Chelsea
more
are
than
gonna
that.
take
60
that.
mil. No.
Chelsea
Well,
take that. They're like the
They
richest
hate
club.
they
in
hate
the Premier
Tottenham.
League.
Yeah, but
And
like we talked about before, he's 100% profit.
Yeah. Well, so we have 5 minutes. What about next? We have 1 week. We have what we play on Sunday against Man United.
Back to
Next
the FA.
Sunday.
Next Sunday.
Yeah.
So what do we think?
Before we go too far in the future, I want to talk about one thing. Our impressions for the substitutes that came on in today's game. We saw some young
good call,
guys.
Sam.
Oh God.
That is Ange 100%. We should have spent more time on this, but that was absolutely the right thing to do. He doesn't
Thanks.
care if they lose or win. And I know that a
Not
lot of
true.
people
But he wants to
He
win.
only
wants to
wants to
win.
win.
He wants to win, but he thinks that he's going to do it with the people that he's going to put out on the field. So I 100% think that this is an appropriate conversation. We haven't seen
Scarlett or Sessegnon.
Sessegnon look fat and slow.
he needs time. He does not need to be on the pitch.
I
right now.
like
Did
him, but
have
he
a
looks
rip, though?
fat and slow.
Did Sessegnon have a
You
decent
saw the
rip?
rip that was
But-
going to be 10 feet wide or 10 yards wide, and it went off the face of a defender because it was so off target, and then it went out for a corner. So it
But
was
Dane Scarlett hustled. I'd almost rather have him out there than Belize. And I don't know why he wasn't playing wherever he came from. But
yeah, that's my
Alfie,
question.
I want to see what's his name?
Phillips or someone? What's his name?
No.
Are we talking about guys who
The
came back on
midfielder.
loan?
Yeah, no, the midfielder the U21 guy.
Donnelly?
Oh,
Donnelly. I think he's going to be super. But Sam,
Wait,
to your point,
did he
I
play
think that
today?
is
Did Donnelly play today?
yeah.
Yeah. He came on.
he came on at the same time.
Yeah.
I must have
And
turned my head.
I think putting those young guys in there was huge. And not only putting them in there when it wasn't like he was putting them in there when it was like 6-0 or 5-1 or where the outcome was kind of already determined. It was a 1-0 game with 10 minutes to go, and he's putting these young kids out there. I think that is a huge statement. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, Sam, because I feel like that moment when he brought all those kids on was like, wow, you are
What are you doing?
developing these guys. You are a coach.
But he was able to do that because the defense today proved that really Burnley weren't going to do anything. And that was like,
No, I don't
I
agree with you.
this was my thing. I messaged you guys earlier, like I'm worried about the counter just because we had kept pressing, and we were dominating it just was leading itself into this like, okay, Burnley's gonna come through and again, 70th minute, 80th minute, we're gonna 0-0, we're gonna go down 0-1 and have to fight back. But our defense again, I thought played
Yeah, but again,
great today.
you would think you would shore up your defense, but he didn't. He put these young kids out there.
Because the defense was playing the way that they were, is my point. You feel good being able to put these guys out there because you're not putting those guys out there to play defense. You're putting them out there to press the ball still.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Jack, what did you think about those subs?
I don't know about Sessegnon. Like, is it like finally he came on, or like a question finally? Like, did we want him to come on?
Yes, we do want him to come on, and we want him to play well. He is just going to have to lose a little bit of weight.
He was fat and slow,
and that was his saving grace, right? But he was a fast sort of guy to get up and down your line.
I don't think
we're down.
We have less than a minute.
We're down to the last minute, and I want Jack to have the final word. So Jack, speed round. Will Tottenham win the FA Cup? Did we hear it here first? Can you break news for us? Will they win the FA Cup?
Depending on who they play in the final. But I
Will
know
they finish top 4?
Yes, they definitely will.
What month is Jay Madison coming back?
This month.
When can we expect to see Van de Ven?
Next game. Or
I think you got those all right. That was you 100%.
What a guess, Star. He said everything correct.